Welcome to the Migrant Resource Centre, Northwest Region Incorporated Diversity and Disability YouTube channel. Your Life, Your Voice program, where self-advocates and professionals in the disability sector are interviewed.
The Diversity and Disability Project would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we work and live and recognise their continued connection to land, water and community. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Nothing about us without us. We pay respects to all self-advocates who have worked hard over the years and still working tirelessly for their rights, supporting others with disabilities and human rights for all.
This channel is for people with disabilities who aspire to seek self-advocacy role models to inspire change in their everyday lives. Nothing about us without us. Choice and control are central themes. Every interview is as unique as you and I.
And it has our fundamental universal human rights ethos of respect for persons with disabilities, having their views heard and acknowledged. After all, it's all in the name. Your life, your voice.
Be the voice of change in your life.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. My name is Julie Skibbers and I'd like to welcome my co-host, Galia Altumbas. Welcome, Galia. How are you doing?
Thank you for asking. Hi, people. How's everyone going? I'm hoping to get an email from someone soon so we can look at what we're going to do with our programming in the next term. Yeah.
We live in hope, and I have great confidence that one day we will receive an email.
Don't do that. We might get hundreds. But can we give out our email address? So it's DND.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So would you like to, do you remember our email address?
It's something like DND Your Life, Your Voice at gmail.com.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for putting me on the spot. It's always a pleasure. Anyway, so so today we thought we will have a topic about tips for employment, which is really a universal need, employment, and we know that people with disabilities are sometimes left out of the employment market. So it's good to have some tips. A lot of my colleagues I work with, and even myself, could not find work for a very long periods of time. And it affects you, because, the first thing that people ask you in a social situation is, what do you do? So to have like a response to that, it's socially, it makes you feel less socially awkward. So this topic is very near and dear to our hearts at D&D, Your Life, Your Voice. So, how about we get some slides up, Claire?
Okay. Here we go. This is some information that we can go on. Okay. So, diversity and disability, be the change you want. Work is a right to you. By getting a job, you gain your freedom and financial independence by giving a contribution to society and to the company that you will be working for. Know exactly what type of work you are looking for and what really makes you passionate about it. Being also flexible enough that not always the job you really want to will come straight away. Quite often you may have to accept a different or similar type of work in the field you are interested in before you can reach your goal of getting really what you want. You need to climb the ladder, develop a network of people who are already working in the field of work that you are interested in. Show them who you are and how good you are in what you do.
Yeah. Okay, learn to sell yourself by bringing out the best in you. Promote yourself so other people know about you. Consider setting up your own business by having your ABN. Considering having business cards printed for promotion. Look at opportunities for work experience that could be the first step to get ongoing employment. Look and compare yourself to other people working in the job you are interested in and evaluate if you need to develop more knowledge, skills, and experience by doing a course at college or university. There are also other places like RTOs, registered training organisations, that still have to follow rules, but they offer lots of support, especially for cold and non-English speaking people and others too. You know, you may speak English, but you may have a learning disability that we could make um, adjustable, legally adjustable uh, amendments to the course. So this is all legal. So even ITOs have to follow rules, just like TAFE in college or university. Make everyone understand that your disability impairment is not an issue, not at all, because there are ways to get around. Therefore, your level of communication and efficiency in your job is as good as everyone else. And it's just a matter of you proving it. Just on that last point, I know it's not always possible to hide your disability, and even hiding your disability, it's something that is part of you. So, you know, it shouldn't be something you are ashamed of. So, but there's a but here, and maybe if you can not disclose your disability, because I heard of a case recently where this young man was locked out of work effectively after finishing a degree and his disability is chronic fatigue, and it's good to be honest. It's always good to be honest, but there are times in life where sometimes you don't have to be honest. You don't have to legally be honest. And it's up to the individual how they feel about this topic, really. But sometimes if you don't have to disclose your disability, and you may think by disclosing it, it may disadvantage you, you have a right to privacy just like everyone else. So I'd like people to consider this as a possible option. Would you like to continue, Uncle Leah?
Well, I was just wondering if you finished your point. So
Yes, I
you
have.
finished your point? Yeah.
I have.
Okay, so you mentioned RTOs and things like that. In a former life of mine, I managed a national RTO, and the rules and things that you're talking about, they're called Australian Quality Training Framework and things like that, which means there's all these things that we do that are to issue a nationally recognized certificate. So registered training organizations are pretty important, and they all have similar ways of operating, and it's basically illegal to do that to people, like to how can I put it, to tell people that they can't work in the field, or that You have like there's reasonable adjustment and things like that. So it doesn't matter where you study, it's all similar. Depends on what RTO, but they're part of being a registered training organization, you have to have ways of working with people with different needs, and that's like utmost importance, yeah.
So yes, so college and universities also have disability units, disability rights units, where students can go and get some support. Maybe even before you start studying, you can visit the university or college to see what they offer in terms of support and see whether it's a good fit for you. Because a different university may have, I don't know, may have different, the rules are the same, but you may develop a, more of a intuitive pull towards a different college or university. So it's
And
more,
they don't call them disability anymore, they call them equity and access.
okay, thanks for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So equity and access units. So yeah, maybe that's an idea. You can go visit the institution before you decide on. Yeah, there are lots of institutions nowadays, and unfortunately, your college and university is a consumer based type of service. So there's good and bad in that sort of like ideology. The good thing is that they want you there. So as a consumer, and there's always good and bad things in each ideology. So yes.
You have the right to participate in study or work. So yeah, and I have a problem with the word consumer. I don't really like that word at all, because we have obligations and rights and needs as a community, as a society, to look after each other and present ourselves. So like consumer makes it like something that you're in a marketplace, and you're consuming something from shopping or something. This is real life we're talking about. So I just thought I'd put my thing out there. I don't like the word consumer. Yeah.
I totally agree, Gully. I hate that word consumer, especially in the area of services.
Mm.
Unfortunately, the medical systems, I mean, we're known as consumers in the medical system, and in NDIS, we're known as consumers. So I totally disagree with that word. Through a yeah, because yeah, because you are right. It reminds me of a marketplace, and and I have I totally agree with that your point.
Yeah.
So I suppose the question is, what word do we use?
Well, I guess we use human. Another person on in Australia, like someone from, we're all humans, and it doesn't matter what we look like, what we say. We all have the same rights to do things and rights to be and to participate in society, whether that be work or study.
Yep. Okay.
So you can say client, you can say participant, you can
A
say
person.
member. Um,
A person. Yeah.
yeah,
There are lots of, are they pronouns? Lots of pronouns we can use to get rid of that word consumer.
yeah. Okay, so here we go. There is support available on a temporary basis to get free interpreting service at work, with funding provided by the federal government. There is also funding available to provide Auslan training to staff. Always show that you are very confident in what you do and always willing to learn more. You will have more opportunities to get a job from someone who already knows you. Know how to write a professional curriculum vitae, depending on the type of job you are applying for, and be prepared for a job interview to demonstrate the best in yourself, in you. Apply to make places at the same time and be proactive in looking for work. obviously there are gaps in the marketplace where you're going to find more jobs, and then there's some jobs where there's too much competition and you might need to change what you're looking for to build up to what you want to get into. Some people do internships, some people do voluntary work. There are other ways of getting into the industry that you want to get into. It's not just how you perform at an interview, it's also your experience and how you come across during your interview as well, to basically link all the dots for them, that all the questions that you get asked and things like that. So what's important is, knowing your topic. Being confident isn't enough if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you only get confident by doing also. And look, I did volunteer with diversity disability for uh, at least 3 or 4 years. So I had some health issues, and I had to get myself better. And but while I was getting better, I was volunteering also. So and that led to paid employment with diversity disability for a very long time. So
That's
volunteering,
awesome. That's great.
so volunteering is with volunteering, it's it's it should work both ways. So each party has to get something positive out of the experience, and 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 if you don't get something out of it as a volunteer, then there's something wrong with that process. And so it's not like volunteering is not like the end result, or it's not like the end goal. Volunteering is the start of something bigger and better. So, with my case, I built up my confidence, and I was working for a long time prior to that, before I was made redundant. So I had a work history, but I still couldn't find work for a very long time. I think it was about 20 years, by memory. And I know I don't look 20, but bit of a jolly joke. Um, and so, yes, so I lost my train of thought. So, what was I saying, Greg? Do you remember at all?
Yeah, you were discussing about how in between jobs you had to wait 20 years to get the next one. You volunteered for a while. The other thing that you were putting across was, well, like we were discussing, like it's not an ends to a means to volunteer, but also it's, I think, you got to put your limits on things. If you're doing an internship, which is what most companies do have time for, be clear on what it is, what is expected of you and what you want from them, the organization that you're going to work with. And often community groups and and not-for-profit organizations are more open and need volunteers, but you don't want to get you know people, sometimes you don't want volunteering to take over a staff person's job either. So some jobs, it should be paid for, and some organizations just say, yeah, we'll have an intern or we'll have a volunteer, and not pay the person. Yeah.
so, like I said, I had a few health issues to sort out before I was ready to do paid work, and I did. It took a pretty long time, 3 or 4 years. Had surgeries and I had to recover for each one and stuff. But I did sort of like floated by our manager, who was my manager as a volunteer also, that I think that I am ready to get paid employment, and I indicated that I'm already doing the role. I was actually assisting someone in their role, but and that I was ready to be employed basically under ABN. And soon after that, because you have to realise that with a place that needs to search for funding, that's another barrier, you know. So, so for them. But so, we did get the funding, and I've been doing groups for a very long time now. And now I do this YouTube channel and many other roles. So each role I was involved in, I use it as a stepping stone to other roles. I always try to put my best foot forward, and I work with lots of other self advocates. Most of them were really good and supportive, and we support each other. And sometimes things don't work out as we would like, but also that's an opportunity for growth, within yourself. How you deal with conflict is always an opportunity for growth. So be aware that conflicts occurs as a part of life, and it can be dealt with appropriately. Organisations have procedures. There's always a manager to talk to, and you may need to float the idea with them, and so they can allow enough time to discuss the issue. And don't be afraid of conflict, I think, is the take-home message.
So can you, I don't
Go ahead. Are we frozen, or is it just you're not talking? I think you're frozen, Goulet. Goulet, do you want to get in and out, please, again? Because you're frozen. Okay. While we're sorting out some technical issues, so opportunities to get a job from someone. So and Goulet has just logged out, and we're waiting for Goulet to come back in. So let's see what happens. Aha. Hello, Goulet. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We're back on.
We're
Something, what did you fly off or something?
I just thought I'd see if I can find something to fill in the gap, but never mind.
No, I actually lost communication with you.
Well, my head was moving and you froze.
Same, that's exactly what I saw. Me
Yes,
moving and you froze. Anyway, we're back on air. So let me just go back to where we were
yeah,
on the PowerPoint presentation. So yeah, we were just discussing really quickly the link between volunteering and conflict you were talking about that I didn't understand. I
yeah.
was asking, so what, I didn't understand what you meant, Julie.
I meant that sometimes you're going to have conflict, whether you're volunteering or whether you're in a paid workforce.
Yeah,
So I think that when you have a conflict, it's a time for growth. So,
yeah,
so we all going to have conflict in our lives with people, because different personalities sometimes don't work well together. And so don't be afraid to approach a manager or the person you have conflict with, to discuss issues and come to understanding.
Okay, thanks for explaining that. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Prepare for no. Before you apply anywhere, you need to prepare yourself for rejection. Nobody gets accepted every single place they apply for a job. As a first-time job seeker, you need to mentally prepare for someone to say no. There's nothing wrong with a business owner saying to you, I'm sorry, we don't need anyone right now. However, there is a right and a wrong way to respond to a business owner or manager who says they have no need for you. If you get a no, I'm sorry, and everyone will respond by saying, well, if you do need someone in the future, please give me a call. I'll leave you a copy of my resume. Thanks for your time. I've actually been in an organization when I've watched this thing happen it was a shop, right? And as soon as the person walked out, they just threw the resume into the bin. I've seen that.
Okay, so you're saying the employer, as soon as they walked out, they threw it in the bin.
No, it wasn't the employer themselves, it was their staff that did that.
Their staff.
Yeah.
And how did that make you feel? So
Watching that?
were you a part of the interview panel?
No. I was just someone in the shop just looking at things to, buy that I was going to get. And I watched the person make a cold call, like going in and saying, oh, hi, da, 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 this is me. I'd like some work in your organization, blah, blah, blah. That's when I saw it happen, while they were cold calling, I guess, walking into the place. And yeah.
Well, the good news is, like, I know COVID has disrupted a lot of lives and employment, but at the moment it's a employee market, so they say. But having said that, if you can't do the job for whatever reason, and there are many reasons, like I cut my coffee, I can't, like, I've got energy issues. I can't be a waitress. I can't run around and, have high energy roles. But having said that, there are lots of roles in lots of areas at the moment. So it could be a good opportunity for you guys to try lots of different um, employment and get paid for it, even if it's a week or a few days, or hopefully it'll be something you want to continue on in the future. But yeah, so what are your thoughts, Gully, on that?
On what bit do you want me to talk about?
So on the fact that it's an employee market.
Yeah, I guess it was more an employee market for the boomers, like the baby boomers and stuff. And I think over the decades, it's changed for people like what's happened for, the X generation, Y gen, the 2000s. Like it's quite competitive as well. I think it depends on what market you're looking into, into getting. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It might be, you might feel like there's a lot of work in the hospitality industry. I think that's what you're getting at, Julie. But if you're not in that field, if that's not your specialty or where you want to work, then you need to work out how competitive it is and what puts you head and shoulders above the other people that you will be competing with for employment.
A lot of I don't know about a lot, but there's encouragement by agencies to upskill, or to do some sort of short course and to prepare you for a different new role. Yes, so yeah, there's a big push at the moment in that areas in those areas. Um, and also there's lots of emerging fields. Like I'll give you an example. I was a computer operator in 1980, 87. Now, when I started my course in 1984, I think it was, when I finished year 11, computer operating was an emerging field. So basically, there's lots of work, and not a lot of people knew what it was. You know, what's computer operating? You know, and they know more now because it's a big field now, and the type of work for computer operating has evolved also because of technology advancements. But my point is, it was an emerging field. And when I started the course I think I finished year 11 in 82, I went into Footscray Cave, which I think it's a VU's campus now, Victoria University campus, in Newcastle Street. And I think I heard about it from a careers counsellor unit that I did it in Year 10. And so I was prepared. To go in and ask, you know, what do I have to do to become a computer operator? And back then, because the field was so emerging, they said to me, well, we're waiting for approval for this course. We believe we're going to get it because it's in the last stages. What you can do, you can start the first year. So I did the first 4 core units. Then I had to wait a year and do the English unit, which is always a core unit. So I basically had to wait for a class to be formed. And the third year was a full class. There was about 12. And from that 12, you know, there were standards we had to meet, and exams we had to, and assignments we had to put in, and, you know, receive above 50 and above. And so everyone in that group that wanted work, we all found work. At least one person failed, and, you know, that's life, yeah. Uh, like we said, colleges and universities and TAFE centres have to have standards. If you go into a workplace and not know what you're doing, or not having that confidence or the basics, then it sheds a bad light on the college or university and future people that apply for work that have a certificate from these organisations. So they have to really abide by standards. And so yes, so I did a good interview. I was told I did a good interview too. So yes, so and it was in a public service. So I don't know whether you guys are aware, but it's a very competitive field, the public service, and so it's not impossible to get in. But yeah, you need to have that base level plus, you know, some sort of higher education to get in. So do you have any comments first, or and we can move on if you don't?
Yeah, if I have a comment, I'll let you know. I'll talk. Just keep going, and when I feel, yeah, I've got to say something about this topic, this area, I will. I'll come in, Julie.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're on
So what are we on next?
So what we're on, we're still in the same part. So basically, we went off on a tangent when you leave a copy of your resume. Remember, we talked about that.
Yeah.
The other part was when you do those kind of things, this shows the manager that you are serious about getting a job and you have demonstrated the ability to follow up. Simply walking away from the store shows the manager that you weren't serious about the job to begin with. It goes a long way in presenting yourself. Yep.
The interview. Stand up straight and go to the employers for an interview. Keep your head up, maintain eye contact, have a firm handshake, and be confident. Employers look for certain qualities when a job seeker walks in the door. Foremost of these qualities is a candidate's ability to communicate effectively and clearly. Be calm and show that you're comfortable talking to the interviewers. Answer the questions saying everything you know being related to the specific topic of that question. Ask for clarification. If you're not sure what's being asked, and remember that it's perfectly acceptable to take a moment or to frame your responses. Don't be modest, shy, and unable to show the employer that you are serious about getting a job. Demonstrate that you are enthusiastic to get the job. I've got a few comments about this from a disability lens. Now, there's lots of awareness now about being on the spectrum. And typically, some people on the spectrum have problems with, maintaining eye contact and being assertive and being confident. And I think there's other ways there's other ways to help you to navigate your way through an interview. One may be a mock interview. So you may get an interview and there might be somebody in your life, maybe a brother, a sister, a friend, and you can sort of like form some questions that you may be asked, and you may want to practice your skills. So you can practice your trying to maintain eye contact and having a firm handshake and stuff like that. There's also an awareness from employers. I believe, I don't know how true this is, but I believe there's an awareness from employers about people on the spectrum and how the actual disability is not reflective of their ability. And I'm sure there are ways, if you talk to your somebody in your job network, I'm sure there are ways that can help you and give you some sort of advice and some sort of that could be your mock interview perhaps. And maybe there are ways to talk to the employer before you go in, if you agree to it. No one likes to be talked about behind their back. So maybe if you're comfortable with this idea, perhaps you could ask your job seeker person, to approach the employer and say, this person has a lot of skills and a lot of positives. Yes, they've got some social skills that affect them because of their disability. But how about we give them a go? And you may start one day a week and build up your confidence. There are strategies you can employ to help you along. And at the end of the day, it's all experience. And it may not work out, but then again, it may work out. And you have a story to share and tell other people who are in the same boat as you. Yes, so we can continue.
Yeah, so that's important. Like what you said, Julie, it's the your access needs and getting support to be able to get the employment or the voluntary work or the internship. So there may be a few practice runs, there may be ways of overcoming how to express yourself and things like that. Yeah. Okay, so follow up. This is probably the most important part of getting a job. Employers look for candidates who have the ability to follow up with their customers. because it shows a willingness to get involved and be responsible. Ask your interviewer for a business card. That way you'll have the correct spelling of names and job titles for your follow-up calls. It's important to thank the interviewer for their time and to let them know that you look forward to hearing from them. Always make a follow-up call after a week from the interview that you had. Don't rely on someone else to leave the right message for you.
Just on also employment, also bigger companies are a little bit more flexible. I find with employment, and yes. So if you want to get some experience up, and there are actually YouTube videos of people with disabilities that work in Woolworths and other big chain stores. There are more people around, and to to help you along and to ask questions, and you're part of a team. So Glenn and I are a team, and our managers are in our team, and and sometimes we get other people to interview, and they become a part of the team for that interview. So, bigger organisations tend to have a few more resources, and yeah. So, if you're interested in that sort of line, even to develop your social skills, perhaps that might be a good avenue to pursue.
Yep.
Plan to dress professionally in conservative clothing with appropriate shoes, minimal jewelry and perfume. Even if the office is casual, you should dress in business attire. Bring a portfolio with extra copies of your resume, a list of references, and a notepad and pen. Use a breath mint before you enter the building. Leave,
Uh-huh.
leave, leave the gadgets at home or turn off in your bag or briefcase. After a few minutes, early for your interview, arrive a few minutes early for interview. If you're not sure where you're going, get directions ahead of time. When you arrive for interview, greet the receptionist and let him or her know why you are there. Be prepared with questions of your own, because you will probably be asked if you have any at the end of the interview. Having questions will show that you've done your homework and are truly interested in the position. So yes, it's a good idea to have a breath mint, because some people get nervous, yeah, and maybe it's to get rid of the dryness in their mouth. Yes, so yeah, and also it shows preparation, yeah, like even though and do not chew gum, please. Like that's so off-putting. I know the younger generation like their gum, but not chew gum. I think it's the rudest thing to do in an interview. So yeah, so don't do it. And I suppose that slide, preparation is the key, and don't be late.
Yes, let them know.
Don't be too early though either. Don't be too early, don't be too late. Maybe 5 minutes before.
I would say 15 minutes.
15 minutes before. You can always like have a coffee somewhere, or
Yeah.
so or stand in the rain for a few minutes. Or maybe the sun. It's sunny at the moment. So
Okay. So tips for employers and staff for communication with people who are deaf or hard of hearing. Get the person's attention before speaking, touching them on the shoulder, waving your hand in their field of vision. flashing the lights or stamping on the floor acceptable ways for this? If they're not looking at you, then they're not listening to you. Ask how they would prefer to communicate. Lip reading, body movements, gesturing, signing with an interpreter, writing other modes, or a combination of methods. Position yourself, stand slightly further away than normal speaking distance, and be at the same eye level if possible, so all gestures can be seen and in the field of vision. Note, if the person is hard of hearing rather than deaf, position yourself at the normal speaking distance. Look at the person. People with hearing loss rely heavily on their eyes to receive information. Therefore, maintaining eye contact is essential. Take off your sunglasses if you are wearing them so your eyes can be clearly seen. I think that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
If I go back, I've had opportunities to work with people, communicating for people with hard of hearing, but also other languages as well. So sometimes some words are a bit more different, so you got to look at the way you speak and things like that.
Yeah, I suppose easy English is probably the best form of communication. Um, yeah, for employers and even for anyone really, because it's easy English. So that's why it's been developed.
And often if you're using sign language or working with an interpreter for people from a cold background, culturally and linguistically diverse background, it's going to take twice the time of your usual. So allow time as well. Okay, so here we go.
So is this my turn or?
I think so. I can't remember.
Okay, pardon me. Tips for employers.
So we're up to you use facial expression.
Use facial expressions to contribute to your message. If you are asking a question or giving a warning about a potentially dangerous situation, be sure to use appropriate facial expressions. Use paper and pen. If something is particularly important, may be unfamiliar to the person, or if writing is a person's preferred method of communication, write the message down in clear and simple terms, avoiding messages with double meanings. Use visual cues to make communication more effective. Point to the item on the trolley or hold up a blanket to show what you're talking about. I'm not sure if we'd take a blanket to an interview, but anyway. Clarify. If need be, check you've understood, and if not, try rephrasing or communicating in a different way. Do not repeat the same thing over and over again. Use simple gestures. Drink, for example, can be communicated by showing the action of drinking. Speak naturally. Speak clearly, normally, and at a normal rate. Do not chew, eat, or cover your mouth or face while talking. Avoid shouting or exaggerating lip movements. Note, you can speak slightly louder than normal for the benefit who are hard of hearing. Do not speak directly into the person's ear.
Okay. The environment. Stand in a position where you are in good lighting without lights or glaring shining into the other person's eyes, preferably with a plainer background behind you. If talking with someone who is hard of hearing, try to reduce background noise by moving, shutting doors, or turning off background music. Never be patronizing. Remember, our gratitude can be the greatest challenge for a person who is deaf or hard of hearing.
Australian for Employment Program. For more information, there's the site there. Practical help is available to support new deaf employees and existing deaf employees who use Auslan, Australian Sign Language, to communicate and whose continued employment is at risk of communication issues. The Auslan for Employment Program maximises the ability and independence of deaf new employees in a new job or deaf existing employees whose continued employment is at risk. The program also supports strong employment growth and the improved productive performance of enterprises within Australia.
Okay. Types of assistance. Auslan for Employment Assistance consists of 3 levels. You can apply for one or more of these levels of assistance. Auslan interpreting and deaf awareness training in the workplace for deaf employees include travel assistance for interpreters where eligible. Auslan interpreting for employment interviews for deaf job seekers, assistance for co-workers of deaf employees to undertake studies in Cert 2 Auslan nationally recognised courses, eligibility for the program, employers including self-employed and small business owners, Australian government employment service providers and Australian disability enterprises can apply for Auslan for Employment Program assistance for eligible deaf job seekers, new deaf workers and existing deaf employees. Actually, I'll go back to that. It's good to know that there is resources out there for people. It's sometimes, people don't know that these resources are available for them or their family or, their friends. So it's good to be able to support someone and inform them that this is possible.
Yeah, there are also programs, federal funded programs for physical type of, like maybe there needs to be a modification to a workplace. And there are actual federal funded programs. I don't know the name of the program, but I do have a contact. So if you're interested in finding out more information about this, contact the Diversity Disability Office and we'll give you the number at the end of the program.
Thank you. Okay. Mainstream employment agencies. Seek.com.au is Australia's biggest job site search. It might be different now. This has been pre-COVID, wasn't it? This was written pre-COVID. So some of this might have changed. So there's also at JobX, we offer a whole new way of looking at careers and job search. Far from providing you with just a list of jobs, we provide a community for you to network, connect with others in your industry, promote yourself, help jobs find you, be inspired and gain informed about careers and jobs that could one day be yours. There's career1.com.au has Australia's biggest list of jobs from over Australia 100 newspapers and online providers, free access to job seeking tips and tools, as well as career news and resources. List jobs like mycareer.com.au, list jobs in all major industry sectors across Australia. My Career makes your job searches easier with unique tools like job title thesaurus, recommended jobs, and search by salary. And then I can't read this one. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
What is it?
I think it's linkme.com.au.
Yeah. Well, they actively promote you to relevant job opportunities, post resume, and have jobs find you.
There's also some ones that focus on like social type of services. Can't think of the name at the moment, but they're quite huge in the sector, in our sector, and they advertise like like community-based jobs. Like, you find like lots of different types of community-based jobs, like physio, that sort of type of stuff too. But the jobs that you know, uh, disability diversity sort of like have the big organisations like um, Valid and Urella and places like that too. So
And valid stands for
um, good question. So I'll just Google it.
yeah, because it's a bit hard when we have acronyms and people.
Let's see, it's coming up with. So Valid, I've just Googled it. Valid is an award-winning organisation that's been part of the forefront of advocating for people with disabilities in Victoria since 1989. Um, just trying to get it up. Um, they're in Collingwood. Um, so they offer individual advocacy, and some services are free, and some aren't. I think with Valid. Um, yes, so um, it doesn't really say the actual what it stands for,
Yeah,
but
well, it's
sorry about that.
yeah,
But it has like, you know, even if you see the website, it's got like accessibility type of things that you can like that help you maybe through death or you know. And so it's got even the actual website has accessibility type of options.
yeah. So we're almost coming to an end. Let's do the rest of this.
Okay.
So we've got, I think this is your turn.
Is it? Okay. So we have jobsearch.vic.gov.au. It's Australia's only site exclusively searching federal, state, and local jobs. Just on local jobs, libraries, local government are a good source of maybe possibilities for work. Uh, the local governments have interest in finding their people that live in their areas work, and they would have resources to help you with that. The westjobs.com.au is a one-stop gateway to Western Australian booming jobs market. Jobsites.com.au, another Australian job sites. It's simple to use and you'll get results in seconds. Counting jobs, specialising in finding and counting jobs for members at a national level. I know that my math skills are crap, but a lot of people with disabilities have really great numerical skills. Also, I will never be an artist. I like Goulet, so there are lots of jobs. We're all diverse in what we do. So yeah, um, jobserve.com.au led the way for internet recruitment for delivering the world's first jobs by email message and launching the world's first recruitment website. I can't read that properly.
LG Jobs.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know, but
Yeah, it's LG Jobs.
is okay. There's also yes, our local government, I'd say. Some of these sites I haven't heard of, Tina Drew.
Well, the thing is, like, there's so many of them,
Yeah, I
and
haven't
we've
heard
got
of
like a
them.
minute left, but people can, get their
Yeah.
support workers or their coordinators or, case managers to help them with job search sites and find that and help them, help each other. You might have a friend. Yeah, so I'll go to the next slides so that people can just see the slides and they can pause it and ring them up? Is that okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the next one, which is disability employment agencies. So you can pause this and you can read it. The next one is this. Tile, groundwork disability employment services. And then we've got the last bit, which is, I don't know if these numbers are.
Yes, I just checked the numbers. They are right.
They are?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'll just come off here and just look at what we've got time for, Julie. We're pretty much on time at the moment.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so thank you, people, for listening and watching what we're talking about, and we hope that it's giving you some way of moving forward at this point in your life or your friend's life or your you might be a carer. Yeah.
So yeah, so diversity, disability is peer-led. So yeah, so we've all experienced these things firsthand.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Catch us on Your Life, Your Voice YouTube channel live every Monday fortnight or on demand.
We would like your comments and suggestions on topics that you would like us to explore. Leave your comments on YouTube comments section.
Please feel free to email us on dndyourlifeyourvoice@gmail.com or contact us via the Migrant Resource Centre Northwest Region Inc. Phone number 1300 676 044. 1300 676 044.
Diversity and Disability is a project of the Migrant Resource Centre Northwest Region Incorporated, and would like to thank the management for funding this project, especially living through the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has been difficult for people with disabilities living in isolation.